Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. So this presentation is actually divided into two halves. In the first half, we will discuss the theoretical portion, and in the second half, we will discuss the practical portion. In the practical part, we will actually perform a demo, and I will interact you with the solution itself. We will do one demo. We will perform an attack, and we will see what's happened at that end. So first of all, the first portion is the theoretical part. So my name is Mohammad Amir Hamza and you are watching AlienVault OSSIM presentation. So let's get started. So let's start from the introduction. What actually OSSIM is, what it is providing and why it is. So before diving directly into the introduction or into the solution itself, you need to be aware of its background, like from where it actually coming from. So the OSSIM is actually the sub-project of the renowned telecommunication company of the US, which is providing telephonic services to the all around the US, also in the some parts of the Europe. This company is known as AT&T, also known as AWT. So this is, let me show you the firm quickly. You will get an idea. So this is the firm AT&T, the telecommunication company mainly providing telephone services in the US. So this is a service as this is the company which actually worked on a project named as AlienVault, and under that project they come up with the solution, the one solution which is known as the OSSIM. So let's discuss now what the OSSIM actually is. So OSSIM or the alien word OSSIM is the open source security information management. With its name, it's clearly stating that it's an open source, mean that it's a free tool, which is providing security information management. It is used for security information management for the management of this security data. So it's a free and open source SIEM solution actually. SIEM, security information and event management solution platform that helps organization to identify and respond to the potential security threats. So yes, then OSSIM allows user to collect, analyze, and correlate security events. So by using the OSSIM, we actually get the three type of first of all benefits. We can collect the data, we can collect the logs, we can analyze those logs, and based on those logs, we can come up with a solution or the like the mitigation or the response, and that's what it's telling here. OSSIP is not like the small solution. It is actually covering all the different endpoint devices. You can take the logs, or you can bring the devices like the network devices. You can bring the application under that. You can bring the security appliances, mobile devices, everything. Everything can become or comes under the OSSIM solution. So there is no limitations at that end. So it can it so if we talk about the features, we can get the features like the asset discovery, vulnerability assessment, intrusion detection, behavioral monitoring, and threat intelligence. We can detect the assets, like what as it's now providing actually two types of feature here in the asset discovery. In asset discovery there are two types, like it can detect automatically the connected devices on your network. The one way is this one, and the second way is that you can manually specify that like this device is the part of the network. So add this device into your database. So by default you don't need to do this because it automatically scans the network and get the connected or the network devices for you itself. So we can actually next we can actually perform a vulnerability assessment. Vulnerability assessment is another feature provided by this OSSIM. Yes, after the vulnerability assessment comes up the intrusion detection. Intrusion detection is also a feature by this OSSIM. In intrusion detection, it all actually detects it has a capability to detect the attack or detect the threat that's happening on the network or on the endpoint devices. Then comes up the behavioral monitoring. it also monitors the behavior, like what are the behaviors of the devices. Is this behavior is like the usual or is an unusual behavior? It has the capability to do this. For this one, we actually install the agents on our endpoint devices to take a complete record of the behavior. So this is the one another one good feature providing by the this OSSIM. And there is in the last we is in the last feature it's providing is a threat intelligence integration. It has its own threat intelligence integration, like for example, we don't need to specify manually the use cases to the system. It has the capability to detect that the this if certain if like for example, if certain type of activity has been happened, it will automatically map that activity and will match the signature with the usual or the normal behavior. If both signatures actually mismatch or somewhere falls in the matching, it will then take it as a threat or something like which is important to be mitigate or to be focused. So this is the one this is the last feature is providing it is actually providing. So what the feature are, we can do the asset discovery, we can do the vulnerability assessment, the intrusion detection is there, we can monitor the behavior, and there it is it also has a capability to integrate threat intelligence. Yes. So if we talk about the flexibility, it is actually scalable and flexible. Uh, OSSIM is actually scalable and flexible. Why it is? Because it doesn't matter your organization size, what the your organization size is. So if your organization size is small, medium, or big, you can implement or you can integrate the OSSIM solution into your architecture. Okay. Now this comes up of the one important thing to remember that there are two versions by the AlienVault OSSIM. One is OSSIM and the second one is USM. OSSIM is the free version, free community version, which people or which actually is used for the lab purposes, for the practice purposes, and for to get used to with the solution. Then there comes up another version which is known as the USM, Unified Security Management. This USM or the Alien Vault version is actually a paid version or a commercial version, which is used by the properly by the mainly by the big firms. But any firms can use it, but there are if there is a community version, or there is a commercial version, then it's mean that commercial version is going to be give you more benefits than the simple community version. So let's discuss about those differences. What are the differences between this USM and the OSSIM? If you move next, here comes up the differences. So OSSIM and USM, these are the old features which are actually provided by the Alien Vault. So on some parts, OSSIM falls, and on the U and the but the U not the USM. So asset discovery is available on both versions. Vulnerability assessments are available on both version. Intrusion detection, behavior monitoring, and SIEM event correlations are available on the both version. But here's come where the OSSIM falls. OSSIM don't falls actually. Uh, OSSIM don't allow us on the log management. It don't allow us the cloud monitoring, also the app security monitoring. These three features are not available on the community version of this OSSIM, or the free version of this of the Alien World. But the USM, the paid version, allow us to do all these things as well. This type of monitoring or the management as well. So if you move next, I will tell you that in the world, nearly currently, according to the ENFLE is the one researching portal. According to their side or their research, nearly about 333 companies currently using the OSSIM or the Alien Vault in their firm architecture. So mainly those companies are located in the US, Canada, or in the India. These are the three big nations actually using this solution. Let's discuss about the technical part of the OSSIM. We already uh, go through the what the OSSIM is, why we are using it, and what's the purpose of using this one. So let's now start talking about the technical portion. If you come up in the technical portion, if you talk about the its OSSIM or the alien architecture, you need to understand these three terms, these three things. So sensor, server, and logger. These three are the main components of this solution architecture. So let's discuss these three in detail by one. So let's first of all discuss about the sensor. What actually the sensor is. If you talk about the sensor is actually a system or a software we actually implement in advance or in the front line, where whose responsibility is to collect all the logs, to collect all the events, to collect or to detect all the events, whatever is happening at our endpoint devices. So that's the main purpose of this sensor. If, for example, I'm using the 12 devices in the network and 12 sensors are needed. No, it's not in that case. You just need to implement that sensor in the front line. So the every end devices or endpoint devices will be connected directly to this sensor. This sensor will going to get the logs or get the all type of events, and through those endpoints to like at one core, before going to in the core, collects at the one we can say the assembly point. So sensor actually works on the plugins. If I go into detail, maybe it will be written here like yes, a range of plugins are available to process raw logs and data from the various type of devices as firewall, router, and the host server. So what we do actually, we we actually deploy the sensor. All the devices will be going to connect it with this sensor. These devices will be embedded with the agents. These agents will help them devices to send the logs to the servers. Now these agents use some specific type of plugins, and those plugins should be enabled on those on the sensor part. So it will so in that case only it is as the sensor is going to detect the logs that like this information is the log information, and this is the this log should be forwarded next. If the for example I'm using one type of plugin A on this end one endpoint devices, and that one device is connected with the sensor. Now this device now the but the plugin is not yet enabled on the sensor part. What will happen that when this device will send a log, even it's a critical log, to the towards the sensor will going to drop it because it has nothing to actually to understand, and like the encryption type or encryption, like what type of encryption in the this log is using, what type of, either it's the log or either it's not a log, so it will directly going to drop the log, that log. But if the plugin A is installed on the sensor part, it will match the signature. Then it will only allow those logs to pass further next. So in simple, if I simply conclude it in some few lines, I will say that sensor is a front line deployed server or the machine through which all endpoint devices are connected. Those devices send logs towards the sensor. Sensor analyze those logs and send and forward it to further next to the server. So now if we move next, we come up the server. Now server is actually a core part of this whole process or whole architecture. It's the like the center of all the we can say the center of all the structure. And so, it is if we first of all let's read this thing. It aggregates and correlates information that the OSSIM appliance sensor gathered. So whatever the sensor is going to get, it will be sent it towards the server. Now server is the one who actually get those logs, work on those logs. Now, sensor responsibility is only to collect, to analyze in only in the encryption part, analyze the logs and send towards the server. Now, server has the having the all those capabilities to analyze those logs, to work on those logs, to correlate those logs, to whatever we can do with the OSSIM we are doing on the server part. So this OSSIM applies same capabilities, as it said, it's the same capabilities, provides single pane of glass management, reporting, administration through a web-based user interface. So to interact with this server, we actually OSSIM actually provide as a UI user interface, a web in as a web portal. So we just log in at that web portal. We use our credential to sign in there, and then next it actually give us the all those actually provide us on the interface to interact with the logs, to detect to work on those logs and to make the policies and everything. So server is the main brain there. It provide us the availability monitoring, incident management, policy based event filtering, forensic console, reporting engine is there, event correlation is provided by this server. You can also manage the vulnerability. So sensor is the one collector, sensor is the collector, server is the management part of server is the one where we manage those logs. So server a sensor actually sends all the traffic, all the positive traffic towards the server, or the logs toward the server. If we no third portion, this is the logger. See this logger. If we discuss the logger in detail, logger is actually one which where we actually store our logs for the long term. So it can be cloud based, it can be like on premise, and yes, but one thing to remember here, logger is the optional part of this structure, but the sensor and the server is the main part. So here is the one pictorial representation of this architecture. So if you see in detail here, these are the endpoint devices 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are using the 4 different endpoint devices. Firewall is there, network devices, PCs, and the servers. All these devices send logs toward the sensor. Then the sensor is the one going to forward those logs to the server. So server is not going to directly take the log from the endpoints, but the sensor will get and will be transferred to the server. Now the server has for the long term, server can send those logs toward the logger to store them as well. And the second feature it provide us the web user interface where we manage those log, we see those log in the graphical representation, uh, where where it is actually easy for us to manage those logs, to make the policies, to assess the threats, to work on the threats and everything we can get the web on the web UI. So I move next. Here is the one of another pictorial representation. So what, for example, if I'm stating I'm living in Abu Dhabi, and the like one my one lab is in Abu Dhabi and my second lab is uh, in Dubai. For example, if I extended my lab, for example, as I said, my other lab is in Dubai. I want to connect my Abu Dhabi architecture with the Dubai one. I only need to deploy a sensor there. That sensor will get all that Dubai system logs towards itself, and then this sensor will be connected with our server, which is present in Abu Dhabi. So that's how it works and remotely. In the remote location, you just need to deploy a sensor only. So no all that architecture needed to be deployed there as well. So wherever I want to in remote location, wherever I want to deploy my architecture, only need to deploy a sensor there. That sensor will get the logs and will forward to the main uh, server, wherever the server is, doesn't matter. So that's the thing. If we move next, this is the workflow actually how actually OSSIM works. Sensor sensor give us the asset recovery. After asset recovery, vulnerability scanning will be performed there. Then those logs will be collected. Then those logs will be forwarded towards the server. Server will be having their its policy. Based on those policy, it will filter those logs. Then the management, then different assessment, different management, different monitoring will be performed on those logs, and then those logs will be forwarded towards the logger for the long term. uh, and as I said, the logger is an optional part. So this is the actually a log collection mapping. Like this is the how the logs will be going to be collected and forwarded towards the same solution. So in the initial part, we are actually having the log sources, the or the devices which are actually going to generate those log. Those devices or those must like could be Windows operating system, the Linux devices, or the firewalls. Then we come up on the next part. The next portion of this map is the log generating agent. Log generating agent is actually, they are actually responsible for collecting for making the logs or to generating the logs. So then the log generating agent actually forward those logs towards the forwarding agent. Forwarding agents are mostly are the third parties agents which are actually responsible for sending the collected logs towards the SIEM solution itself. So that's how this workflow moves and flows. So let's see and let's move towards the practical part of this presentation.